Today's video is a follow-up and a part 2 of one of my early videos on YouTube that caused a bit of controversy at the time because I was one of the first YouTubers to explain the main reasons why you should not share everything with your man, even when you are in a committed long-term relationship. That video went viral because people could sense that I was speaking from experience and that I knew what I was talking about. I am even more convinced of this 3 years after I posted that first video, having been myself in a relationship for much longer than 3 years and seeing the challenges that come with a long-term relationship and experiencing firsthand that an actual relationship with the same person for many years is not always smooth sailing. But also seeing around me many relationships breaking down when the bond was not strong enough or weakened over time, or if the relationship was not built on solid foundations. Sometimes the separation process is peaceful, but more often than not, it's rocky and conflicted. Now, your first hedge against any issues related to sharing sensitive information during the relationship or after the breakup is character. Because a man with a good character is less likely to use anything you shared with him in the intimacy of your relationship against you at any point. But character is not an abundant currency, ladies. And character is not something easy to determine. First of all, do you have a good character yourself? Because if you would be tempted to do the same thing, as in using information people entrusted you with against them, then you don't have a great character and you're likely to attract the same type of people to you. And second, character reveals itself with the passing of time, although you can spot signs and clues of a person's character if you have developed an eye for it. But most of the time, people are 3-4 years into a relationship or a marriage, and suddenly they discover a new side to their partner, which, by the way, is never new. It is just revealed under certain conditions or circumstances, but it has always been there. So the purpose of this video is not to make you outraged and infuriated that people can do you dirty. It is also not to get you to become scared to trust anyone or hyper-vigilant that you don't get to enjoy life anymore. But it is to make you realize that the best strategy to adopt is to keep some sensitive and strategic information to yourself, regardless of who you are dealing with. And with that being said, let's start with number 7. And just to remind you, if you want to watch the first 6, just go to my video titled Things You Should Never Tell a Man. Number 7, your insecurities. We all have them, and these are our weak spots. And the thing I noticed and I experienced myself is that most of us women feel compelled to share our insecurities with the man that we are romantically involved with. And most of the time, it is because we want to receive some sort of reassurance from that man so that we could feel good about ourselves and have a boost of confidence. I did it many times until I stayed long enough in one relationship for it to backfire on me, and I coach women who also did it and it also backfired in majority of cases. The false belief that I personally grew up with and that I noticed many women did too is that sharing your insecurities in a relationship is the ultimate way to create a strong bond and connection with that man. But reality has turned completely differently. So often we do not get the reassurance that we unconsciously are longing for, and it might create a semblant of a bond with a man, but you need to understand that men do not bond in the same way women do. So this kind of bond created through sharing of vulnerabilities and insecurities is very weak and easily breakable for a man. And more importantly, these insecurities that you are sharing are vital information for a man to use against you when the wind turns, or in some extreme cases, to be exploited by him to manipulate you or to extract something from you, as in to get you to do certain things or to behave a certain way, either consciously or unconsciously. I'll give you examples of insecurities that I think you should keep to yourself. First example is body-related insecurities. For example, thinking that you are too tall or too short, or that you're not thin enough, or that you have small breasts or a big nose or whatever. You may mention that innocently someday, and he may throw it at you during an argument. Even the best intended men do these things sometimes. Or he might remind you of these insecurities, so to get you to feel insecure and want to make more efforts and more heavy lifting in your relationship in order to regain that validation and reassurance from him. Another example is education or profession-related insecurities. For example, feeling insecure about not having a college degree or not being intellectual enough, or feeling insecure for doing a low-level job compared to your man or his circle. Another example is background-related insecurities, aka coming from a poor background or from a lower socioeconomic status compared to him. And the last example is trauma-related insecurities. For example, a fear of abandonment, or a fear of rejection, or a low self-esteem, etc. And the last thing I want to say on this is that even if you decide you want to share some insecurities because you just want to, you still need to show somehow that they are a thing of the past and that they no longer have any power over you because you overcame them. Number 8, your family secrets. Again, we all have things that happen within our families that are not easy to share with outsiders. Maybe because they are embarrassing, or maybe because they are painful memories, or maybe because they are too dodgy or too intimate to share. Sometimes we want to share these secrets because they have become too heavy to carry, or sometimes because we are seeking help from our partner. But that's another big mistake because, again, all these secrets can be used against you in the most unexpected ways. Plus, it is also a form of betrayal of your family's intimacy because your family's secrets are not yours to decide what to do with them. Sharing them could affect how your partner views your family as a whole and individual members of your family forever. That's not fair on them, and it's not your choice to make. It's even a responsibility on you to keep those secrets from ever getting out of the family, out of decency, out of respect to your family, and as a protection measure against the unpredictability of people. Plus, if you need help with any of those secrets or if they have become too unbearable, there are professionals, aka therapists and coaches like myself, that specifically offer you a safe and confidential space to share anything with another human being and having their professional outlook on it. Now, let me tell you some of the ways family secrets can be used against you. Number 1, they can be used to normalize or justify certain unacceptable behaviors by saying, well, your parents said this, or your family does that, or this happened in your family. You don't want to give a man any easy way to justify abuse or bad behavior or anything that you refuse to accept in your life. Number 2, when there are legit issues between your partner and your family, everything will be unfairly put on your family because they will be seen as the odd ones. Number 3, they can be used against you in legal proceedings. For example, by saying that you grew up in an abusive environment or a drug addict environment, and that's why you suffer from psychological effects. And number 4, your partner will hold power and leverage over you and your family if you give him access to your family's secrets, and he may very well covertly or openly threaten to exercise that leverage and disclose that secret as revenge when the wind turns. Those who went through separations or divorces will easily see where I'm coming from. Number 9, how your exes treated you poorly, and in general, any abuse or bad behavior that you were subjected to from one of your exes. Again, one of the most common mistakes women that come to me for advice or coaching make is sharing how they were badly done by an ex with their new man, because again, they are unconsciously looking for empathy and reassurance from their new man that he's not going to do the same, and maybe believing that they will build a stronger bond with him. Unfortunately, it rarely goes that way, and what ends up happening is you lose that sacred divine feminine status and pedestal that your new man most probably put you in. He will be thinking, how are you a high-value divine woman if someone treated you this bad in the past? And sometimes he might bring it up and use it against you in arguments. And with the wrong man, it can turn out to be pretty dangerous because you are unconsciously giving him permission to treat you this way because another man got away treating you that way in the past. And this is why anything related to some bad experience or bad behavior that you received from your exes should never be revealed to your new partner. Number 10, that you cheated or that you did anything seriously wrong in your previous relationships, because he will always fear that you may do the same thing to him, and he may suspect it every time you do something remotely similar. And it may be deserved if you still haven't worked on yourself and you can actually repeat those mistakes, but I hope that's not the case if you are a member of my community. The thing is, some errors and mistakes of the past often do not reflect the person we have become. Many people sooner or later end up learning from their mistakes as they get older, so it is unfair that people continue to associate them with these mistakes. So if this is your case, you have probably matured and you've learned from your mistakes, so there is no point in giving your man outdated information because he will still judge you on that, and even if he doesn't seem to judge you, he will still have it somewhere at the back of his mind. And same goes if you yourself did something seriously bad to an ex and you repented. Don't tell your current man. Number 11, that you broke the law. This one can and will 100% be used against you in the very specific yet too common case of lawsuits relating to separation, divorce, and custody of children. I have seen it too often now that when things get to a lawsuit stage and the stakes are high, the end justifies the means for many people, as famously said by Niccolo Machiavelli. And trust me, all means are usually used, and sometimes even when one party does not think of a way to discredit or to blackmail or to put pressure on the other party, their lawyers will advise them and will show them the way. The lawyers always ask their clients, do you have something on him or on her? And if you shared some innocent little thing that you did in the past that was technically breaking the law, unfortunately, it can be used as information to put you in a bad light, or sometimes as a way to put pressure on you to get you to compromise more than you were willing to. So again, hopefully you never broke the law, but if you did, often the closest people to you can turn against you and they can use that information against you. This is not to make you become paranoid or hypervigilant. I live my life pretty peacefully most of the time. I am just alert to very specific signals, and I am just a bit more careful with what I share with people. Number 12, the last one, that you will never leave him no matter what, or anything that suggests that your love to him is unconditional. Now, I know so many of you were raised indoctrinated by certain ideals about love, and I was too. Too many were raised to believe in soulmates, twin flames, and unconditional love, and that anything less than that is not true love. But this is an ideal that is heavily influenced by religion that is far from the reality of the human nature. I am not saying that these concepts do not exist. They do exist, at least in certain forms or to a certain degree. But what I'm saying is that this is not the rule, this is the exception. So what is the rule? The rule is no human being loves another human being unconditionally if they are not related, as in parents and children. And sometimes, even in those relationships, love is still conditional, usually from the narcissistic parents to their children. So really, unconditional love comes down to the love from the children to their parents only. But other than that, love is conditional, and it is conditioned on the ongoing maintenance of what made that love possible in the first place, apart from the things that deteriorate naturally, such as looks. So you being told or made to believe that you should love a man unconditionally is distortion of the nature of what love on planet Earth is. And it is unhealthy and toxic to jump into romantic love in such an unconditional way. Because for your love to hold any value in the eyes of the man who receives it, this love has to be earned by him. And this man has to think that it can be taken away from him if he doesn't deserve it anymore. The other important question here is, if you tend to give your partner unconditional love, you must ask yourself why that is. Are you trying to compensate for something? Do you have enough self-love? There is something to explore there, and you may require some inner work. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it insightful, and I will see you in the next one.